Welcome, everyone, to episode 148 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Joshua Pantellaresco. I write stuff and podcasts too. And today, my guest is Jim Jackson, author of Stones in My Pathway, master storyteller. He uses his storytelling in both fiction and nonfiction. And yeah, he's really, really cool. We had a blast talking. I feel like I talked a little too much, but that's okay. It's just kind of what I do. Yeah, definitely take a listen here. Beyond that, I said we'd talk about all kinds of wonderful little news. The Watcher is now available for 99 cents as an ebook at mirrorworldpublishing.com. You should definitely check it out. The first book is now, check out mirrorworldpublishing.com for deals on The Watcher, Storm Dancer, and The Wandering God. All those books are available there or Amazon or wherever else books are sold. Want to leave me a review? That'd be cool. My next live podcast will be March 22nd. I made it official. It will be once again at Owl's Nest Books, but this time I am the guest. My sister is hosting the show, and I am terrified simply because I have no idea what she's going to ask me. I have no control over this show, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be different. There will be Jello shots. I will be actually doing readings from The Wandering God. I might even be doing readings from another book that's going to be coming out really, really soon. Something diver, unicorn, something or other. We'll get into more of that next time I'm on the show. All right. Without further ado, here is Jim Jackson. So how about you, man? What's been going on with you?
I am plugging along. I released my first novel a couple weeks ago.
Congrats.
Thank you very much. Yeah, second book, first fiction book, so I'm happy with that. And pounding away on the next few.
Nice. So, before we get to your current book, can I ask what your first book was?
My first book was a novel that came out of teaching public speaking to accountants. You know, like when you say, when you're giving a speech, like listen to TED Talks, right? Start with a personal story. You're fine. You'll just hook everybody. And then I realized, well, not everybody knows how to turn any kind of topic, especially an accounting topic, into a personal story. So I thought, well, I can help with that. I wrote a little book called How to Tell a Really Good Story About Absolutely Anything in 4 Easy Steps, which is a ridiculously long title, and try and tweet that a few times a day, right?
Oh, God. It's easier now, but still, oh, God.
That's right.
But that's a really cool.
And that was the first book. So that's yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's actually a very important skill, even with doing fiction. Because, this is my experience so far. Now, grant you, I write epic poetry, so who reads that stuff? I know, but
I might put my hand up for that.
Yeah. People that have read it seem to like it, so I don't think I suck, but I have my challenges, let's just say. But that all said, I do know this, like, one of the hardest things for authors, actually anybody in arts period, is to find a connection to an audience. That skill you got right there, that's amazingly useful. For that, incredibly useful. So, how did you develop that?
Well, yeah, and in life as well. It was I was doing a course, a public speaking course in Red Deer. I think it was in Red Deer, Alberta. And there was this guy doing a speech. It was going to be about long distance running. I use this example in the book too. And he said, there are many psychological and physical benefits of long distance running, and I'm going to talk to you about some of them. And it was the opening of his speech. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It's fine. It's solid. But he was talking to some of the people in the class during the break, and they were asking him, "So, hey, how did you get into long distance running?" And he said, "Well, I've never had a really strong relationship with my father. In fact, we didn't speak for a number of years, for about 10 years, and I knew he was into long distance running, so I got that we could kind of reconnect at these meets, and the other people, they were like quite literally on the edges of their seats, right? They said to me, that should be your opening. You really hooked us there." So and that's when I thought, wow, so yes, people can do it. It's all there. They have the raw material. It's just coming up with a framework to put it into a story form. Once you can do that, you can take anything and make a story out of it and get your message across that way.
Yeah, no, because this was a line, like, as an author, like, when you start writing, it's in your head. Like, you're in your head a lot. Like putting the words, trying to tell your story. Like, you're in your head. It took me a long time to recognize the fact that it is my heart, like my experiences, my feelings, my personal, like, triumphs and tragedies that people really connect to. The everything else is kind of like garnish, right? The real meat and potatoes of any story you write is that personal connection, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. And that took me probably 12 years to learn. I'm a slow learner.
Right.
Yeah. But then that's when I noticed that my writing went from "it's all right" to "okay, it's good," right? And there's a line there. So you've been doing public speaking. So have you, like, because you have that framework in you, was that like an easier step for you to overcome, or was that like you just had that nailed down? Yeah.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, that's a really good question. But I came up with this framework. It's 4 easy steps, which I'm not giving away the book here, but it's get a good guy, decide what she wants, put her behind the 8 ball, and then find out how she changes. Right? Those are the 4 steps. You have that, you've got a good story.
Yep.
And so even after coming up with the framework and writing this book about storytelling, I still found in my own writing it was I had to cut a lot of what I was writing because this doesn't fit, and then having that voice in the back of my head saying, well, yeah, but we like it. I like that part in there, right? So you still have that emotional connection to what you're writing.
Yeah.
But you have to kind of you have to kind of sacrifice some stuff to get it into the framework that makes it a really good story.
Yeah, and that's a really tough balance because you need that emotional connection, or your book sucks. I mean, I'm sorry, it's the truth. It's truth, right? But if you have too much, like, okay, now you're being preachy, right? Or now you're being okay. No, this is not how I would deal with it, right?
Yeah.
I find like it's the situations people can relate to. How we deal with them, now that is interesting. Like that's what makes people, right?
Yeah.
Right. How, like, if I, like, okay, my teeth. Like, just because we've already talked about this, like the decision to fix my teeth when I made it was purely an intellectual one. When it hit me, when I made that decision though, I was super pissed off, and it took me a while to wrap my brain around why I was so mad about it, right? Right? Because and a lot of that was like personal self-image, right? And a lot of that was okay. When I fixed this, it wasn't strangers. Like, don't get me wrong, you're an awesome guy, but if we had met and you knew my teeth were fake, I wouldn't give a fuck because I didn't know you, right? But people that have known me for a long, long time, how would they see me now? Because I've been this way.
Yeah, okay.
Does that make sense? Right?
Absolutely. Like the stories we tell ourselves, really, that's what creates our identity, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there's like and this is why I like my favorite character to write, like, in my stories was a 10-year-old girl named Kristen. She was such a badass. She broke out of jail. Like, she's just a hardcore, but she became this based on dealing with how she dealt with her issues and her personal stress, and that's what fascinates me with good stories. Right? Even if they're not about good people, right? Right? They don't need to be about good people. What's interesting is, when the moment comes, do you face it head on? Do you run from it? Do you, like, what do you do? How you deal with things? That's what makes us who we are, and that, I think, is the crux of the story. And when you get mad at somebody for, let's say it's a situation where Like it's like letting go of a loved one because you love them so much, but you just for whatever reason you just know that it can't work out the way you'd like it to, but you love them. So the hard decision then, when you love someone like that, is to let them go. That's the hard one. Not some people try to change them, some people try to control them, right? There's a very and that is a very again, and all those things are very human things, right? Right?
That action then,
Yeah.
who you are. That action of letting go changes.
Yeah, exactly.
And the story of then.
Yeah.
To show how that character changes, right? Without that, then it's just business as usual, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I think you know, like one of the reasons why I love books, like books more than television. Television hardly ever does that, right? Hardly ever. And don't get me wrong, when television does, it is so powerful. Like you literally are in tears, right? But they do.
Television got that visual element to it and all that.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's not in television DNA to do it.
Yeah, exactly. They have an amazing, they have a unique method of doing it. But books, the beautiful thing about books is because you're in the heads and hearts of your characters, you feel it like you feel a connection there that you can't like in a lot of other mediums. Right, and I think that's where books' real power are and that's where the best stories come from. Like I look at one of my favorites is The Dark Tower. Like I love The Dark Tower by Stephen King, right? I cried at the end. I am not ashamed to admit I got to the end of that story. I was in tears. Right, it was. Yeah, I am not ashamed to admit that to anybody. You get to the very end when he's at the tower and he calls the names of everybody that didn't get there. You're literally in. I'm not even gonna get to what he found in the tower. That was even that was heartbreaking on a completely different level. But
yeah,
but that moment where he gets there. Yeah, I cried, man. I admit, because you were there. You were there when he was just the man in black and he had no soul, right? And you saw him become this very human, very tragically flawed human being. You didn't see him just as the man in black anymore. He's still a badass, but now he's Roland. He's just Roland, and you get to the end of that, and you're like, and then you get, like I said, I'm not even going to talk about the After Tower. That's for people that really want to have their souls crushed. But that moment where he's finally there, and you experienced every moment up until he got to the tower, and you saw that change, and his his actions, his mistakes, right? And that's why that's why King's. That's why King's so good. So.
And it's where a lot of other stories kind of fall. They've got the first three steps. They can get a really sympathetic good guy.
Yeah.
Even if it's not a good person, he can be sympathetic.
Yeah.
They can nail motivation. They can get lots of obstacles, but it's that how does the character change?
Yeah.
That's really the step that makes it. That brings it home to people because readers are gonna compare how that character changes to how they would in the same situation.
Yeah, and the best ones. Okay, so my personal thing is my favorite ones are the ones I don't agree with, but I understand it.
Yep.
I so understand it. It's like I would not do that, but I could see why you did, right? Right, and that's and those are the absolute best ones. The worst ones. Okay, even sometimes the other extreme. I hate exactly what you did. I just hate it, right? Because that's the hardest one to actually do. Because the hard part there is, as you say, creating that change. It has to be believable in terms of the story. So if I hate it. I have to hate it because it's the right choice for that story, right? But I hate it because it's not the way I would want it to go. That's a very that's true.
no, that character would never do that.
Yeah.
That's hating in a different way. That doesn't work.
No. At that point, you've cheated your reader. Like if enough people feel that way, you've cheated your reader, and they want their money back, and I can't blame them. You know. That.
One of the things I found while researching the really good story book is these neuroscience experiments where they actually put people in MRI machines and have them read something on a screen. Like, say it's something as simple as John put on his gray sweatshirt. And they find that the same neurons fire in the brain when they're reading that as if they're actually putting on a sweatshirt or something.
Mm-hmm.
So stories give us this, it kind of has this simulator effect where when we're reading, we feel like we're the ones doing it, but the experience is completely risk-free, right? You're not at risk of being killed by an evil wizard or completely blowing up your marriage, whatever book you're reading, right?
Yeah.
But you get the same benefit as if you'd lived that, just without the risk.
Yeah, and it's without that life chance. But yeah, that's why it's so important that they're like. I've been learning this year that consistency is one of the most important things in life. Not just books, but just life in general, being consistent. That's really hard to do in storytelling. That is incredibly hard to do. Good books, I think the line between good and great is literally how consistent you can be with that particular point. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think that's a really good way of putting it too. That is the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm writing a manuscript now, and like any manuscript, it's going to be terrible, and I'm expecting that.
Yeah.
Editing is where you bring it up, and I keep changing a character. I actually even keep changing her name. Oh, well, she should do this time. Oh, no, now she should do this. Now I'm going to have to go back and create that consistency that you talk about, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good story.
Yeah, well, in me, okay, I just did my first novel. So my editor crucified the middle of the book. Rightfully so, by the way. Right, rightfully so. Yeah. Well, you know, again, everything writers, so like you look at that page and go, oh, it's red. It's also red. How did it get that red? But besides that, the thing of it is though, when you are looking at a story like that, right? My editor goes to me, this is not consistent. Like, I like this. This is so soggy. I can put a finger through it, right? But the rest of this is good. But you gotta, okay. So you need to fix this. So my month of December, when I'm not in the meat grinder that is my day job, is me fixing that part. So it actually...
It's painful, isn't it?
Yeah, it sucks. But again, when they're right, right? It's like...
Yeah, when I had a... You probably know, actually, but I'm not going to mention any names, who just ripped my beta version to shreds. It was just like bordering nasty about it. Right every time.
Yes.
Made it a much bigger book, but it was hard to read some of it.
Well, no, but just out of curiosity, was it a she? You don't have to say names.
Yeah.
Okay, so then maybe I do know who it is. Good heart. Honestly, I'm not mentioning names. Real sweet person. It's just, just did. But but when she's in that mode, oh my God, she's so. But in a good way, like not. She's not doing it to be mean. She's doing it because she's doing it because it's like, okay, you got something really good here and here and here. Fix this because this sucks. And you're like,
she cares that much about the craft of writing. She's able to put aside the nicey and actually say, no, this isn't up to par. You know, I like that. I really respect.
Well, you need that. Like again, this is again, me personally, I love again. I can't get better unless you tell me I'm doing shit. Like I can't get better. There's no way. One of the most frustrating things as a kid was finding people for me that could actually read my stuff because I was a writer in a place of factory workers. So I was like,
okay.
Yeah. So it's like, it's nice. You like hearing that, but it doesn't help you learn, right?
Oh.
Right. And that's a big That was a big obstacle for me and for a long time. I just recognized when I got to work with some other writers, I learned what my weaknesses were. I'm still working on my weaknesses, but I know what they are now, which is
Well, and that's a huge first step, absolutely.
yeah. Yeah, it's a big one. I mean, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, it doesn't matter. Okay, what do you do that's bad? These things. Oh,
Right.
right. How do I fix these? Well, but I'll tell you one of my big weaknesses is I repeat myself, right? And I don't consciously do it. Like I remember I gave my draft to my editor. It was like I took out as many repetitions as I could see. I took out a lot. I didn't take.
Yeah.
I took right. It's just, but you know what?
Was it enough for the editor?
No, the editor rightfully beat me for those. It's okay. I was. You're laughing, so it's all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so your first novel came out. So what made the change? What did you always want to do fiction, or did you want to do? Yeah.
Yeah, and it was. Well, I was off on paternity leave for my daughter's second 6 months of life. It was a beautiful summer, and
Yeah.
would sleep toward the afternoon. And then what am I going to do with myself now? You know what? I'm going to start writing again. I'd songs before. I was a musician when I was in high school, university-ish. But still, that form was too restricting. So I eventually wanted to get into fiction. I never did. I tried a few times, but then
Things happened.
yeah, things happen, life happens, and honestly, the technology wasn't there for self-publishing back then, right? It's like not even close. So I'll play around with writing. I'll bring a notepad and a typewriter outside in the sunshine and kind of try my hand. And what I put out was terrible. It was just awful writing, but I felt good doing it. You know?
Yeah.
Let's do more of this. And then this story idea had been working its way through for I don't know, about 5 years. Like I've done presentations about it. I've talked about it in my public speaking classes. I've done webinars, but it hadn't really gelled yet into a book. But, okay, well let's do that. Let's get that out of the way. That will be practice publishing because I definitely want to self-publish that. I know who the audience is. I see them several times a year when I'm on a public speaking tour, right? Let's do that. And had such a good experience with that I thought, okay, well, I met a lot of writers as well in the community and across the country. And somebody told me about NaNoWriMo, about National Novel Writing Month. So I thought, sure, cool, let's give it a try. So I did that. And from that, and then from wicked bouts of editing, came Stones in My Pathway.
Nice. And so, do you have a preference of what you write, fiction or nonfiction?
Ooh, that's hard.
Yes.
That's a really hard question. The nonfiction takes so much thought, like years of thought, and then you can hammer it out in a little while, and editing is easy because really with nonfiction, as long as what you're saying is clear and gets the point across, and you're consistent in the way you phrased things, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. With fiction, you could sit around and polish forever.
Yes.
You can get out hammered out easily, like and that's what the NaNoWriMo people do, right? But you could polish that forever because there is no perfect standard of what it should sound like, how the event should flow. If I had to choose, I like having finished product nonfiction in my hands, but I like coming up with the ideas for fiction better.
Okay, so you kind of remind me. I'm gonna give you a compliment. There's an author that was really good at nonfiction, but he was so well known for his fiction, he was forced to keep writing fiction. Although he enjoyed that too. Asimov loved writing nonfiction. Yeah, no, seriously, you should look up his bibliography for his nonfiction work. You will literally crap your pants. Like, legitimately, while the nonfiction he did, there is a gap between, like, the 60s to the 80s where he did, like, all he did was anthologies, like he edited anthologies, but he didn't actually write very much fiction. He was writing a lot of nonfiction, right? And he did everything from scientific like stuff to like commentaries on Shakespeare and the Bible to like anything you can imagine, right? And he had to get they literally.
I made a note. I'm absolutely gonna.
Yeah. He had to be bullied back into Foundation. He had to be bullied back into it. Double A literally approached him and said, "Okay, it's been 20 years. People really want to read this. This is what we're going to do." And he literally they gave him the terms. He wrote it. It was a bestseller for 6 months. So he was like, okay. So his whole thing was okay, fine. I still need to do nonfiction. 1 book a year. You can do a nonfiction. Woo! That was what he did the rest of his life. He loved nonfiction. Like and also, he's also one of the best nonfiction writers I've ever read. There's a short story collection called The Edge of Tomorrow. Now, it's a combination of science fiction short stories and scientific essays. I still remember Euclid's Fifth. He talks about Euclid's fifth mathematical principle. I still remember that, right? He was literally one of the best nonfiction writers I've ever read. And I'm not talking like essays, like personal essays, although he was great at those too. He was the master of not only doing engaging, interesting facts, but he was such an expert on whatever he wrote. He answered all your questions, and he did it in a personable way, right?
Well, that's the trait of a good writer. Right?
Yeah. No, it was so good that you were like again, I'm in like, hey, personal note. If I'm considered half on Asimov with a touch of Dr. Seuss in my life, I've done good. That's kind of the yeah, I've done good. I don't two completely seemingly two brilliant men doing different things, but I play in both areas, so I go okay. So, but that's like he was the man. Like there is no doubt in my mind that I see why nonfiction is very appealing. Because there's so much cool information out there on everything. Especially today, because we live in an era now where information is being discovered so quickly. I don't know.
And there's too much for any one person to know.
Exactly. No way.
You need people who can know something and then distill it to a wider audience.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is, okay, so I don't know how you research, but I use DuckDuckGo because I find Google like shrinks what I can research if I look up certain information for enough time, whereas DuckDuckGo still doesn't have any cookies or anything like that, so I get more university studies and things like that, right? Because there's so much information being compiled so quickly. Google tries what in their attempt to simplify actually filters you away from information today. Right? It's like, but I want that stuff, right? But again, but like I say, it's such an interesting time we live in. Like, and then just think, we're talking about Google and DuckDuckGo, which is like years ago. I mean, I still remember back in my day when we were using the card catalogs of libraries.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And wow, that was not efficient. You needed to know what you wanted to know. There were no happy accidents.
No.
Like just randomly clicking links in Wikipedia or something. Let's see where that goes.
Yeah, no, it hurt. No, like the old card catalogs hurt the brain. I just want this. Where is that? Here, we think. No.
Yeah. No, I have a card that says, see this other place.
Yes. What do you mean that book is gone? Oh.
Yeah.
There are some things I do love about the internet age. That is one of them. I want to learn about this. I can do it. Anything. Yeah. So, are you still teaching?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My big season is kind of spring summer.
Yeah.
That's where I'm out on the road, doing public speaking, teaching people how to teach. That's one of my things. Yeah. So it keeps me in contact with the people who who really need to know that those steps of storytelling, so they can hook their audience, so they can get their message across.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I'm going to get to the point where we start to wrap this up here because I figure I've probably taken up enough of your time and I've driven you crazy and all that other wonderful fun stuff. But
it was a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah.
I got half a page of notes here that I'm so I get stuff too.
Yeah, you get some stuff to play with. And honestly, straight up, like, do you do When Words Collide?
I didn't this past year. I'm gonna do it in the future.
Yeah. I just as a personal, I don't even care to sound podcast. I'd love to have a beer and pick your brain on some things down the road because you sound like you've done some really cool stuff. Like your skill set is sorely needed now in a weird way because independent writers like we live in, like, again, part of this age. Everybody can publish a book, but no one knows how to communicate that. And I think that's I think you're not necessarily, I think from a publicist's point of view, I don't know if that's what you'd want to go into, but your skills are so going to be key for what is going to be the next whatever boom, niche, mega, I don't know what you call it. It just sounds like you have the right skills for this. So.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say. I hope so. And one of the things I say is that in the past, you needed experts who knew stuff. But now, like we were talking about Google and other search engines there, information is cheap.
Yep.
Meaning really is what people are looking for. And so if you can create a way, then you're going to reach more people. And one of the ways to do that is through storytelling. I think the best ways. It's what I believe in, so that's why I put out that book. That's why I write what I write.
All right. So once again, talk about your current book out and how people can find you, and we'll call it an interview.
Okay. Current book, Stones in My Pathway, which I've called a novel in blues. It's this deal with the devil who offers you a chance to undo some kind of past decision that you've made. The devil offered you that. Would you take it? That's on Amazon. You can find it also and more information on reallygoodstory.com. That's my author website. That's reallygoodstory.com. And if you're in the Calgary area, I'm always at launches at Owl's Nest. I'm at the open stage. I'd love to hook up.
So that was my conversation with Jim Jackson. You can check him out at Indigo Books, Signal Hill, today at 11 a.m. if you are listening to this podcast on February 10th. Check out his books. He sounds like a really cool dude. I'm hoping to get there in time. I'm on a quest for pants today, so I'm not sure I'm going to get there. It's going to be an interesting day. I've been doing rewrites for 2 weeks. My mind has kind of gone to mush, which is why this podcast has been a little late. But it's great to be back in the groove. It really, really is. And I'm hoping to keep rolling with how amazing this year has been so far. So that will do it for this episode. And if you want to support the podcast, you can subscribe to it, rate it on iTunes. You can buy my books, The Watcher, Wandering God, Storm Dancer, all available at mirrorworldpublishing.com. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Joshua Pentelresco, where past episodes resolve. Any way you do it, though, I hope out there you dare to dream and you're dreaming with your eyes wide open because anything truly is possible. See you guys next time.
Josh.